when we lead with empathy and we validate each child's identity, we don't just help them to be successful, but we also help them to believe that they belong. Well, this was a very interesting process because when I started to brainstorm a little bit about what I wanted to share during this time, I obviously wanted to pick things that you could feel there was a connection between what you do, but at the same time, I also wanted to kind of like share a message that I strongly believed in. So I want to share that when I started to brainstorm, obviously I started to look at, for example, what kind of strategies we can use to boost academic growth, or for example, how to drive innovation in our classrooms, how to deepen engagements in the department, or simply how to prepare our students for the future. But then I went back to a more human question, and I asked myself, because I have two kids, I asked myself, what do my children truly need to be able to be successful, not only in school, but also in life? So when I was trying to find the answer for that, obviously I didn't find answer in the data that we analyze as leaders in school, for example. I didn't find that answer as well in the high expectations that we have our students go through. And we certainly didn't find that answer through the different programs that we might implement in the departments. So I felt like the answer was to be able to know our students before we actually get to teach them. So there's a little story that I want to share with you all. I met a fourth grader a while ago, and this child was an extremely bright student. He was very creative and very curious, like any other student. But often he was often described as distracted or disorganized or emotionally inconsistent. This was described by teachers. He struggled with writing. He had a hard time in social environments, and he was often disconnected from the classroom. This was very interesting to hear as a leader in the school, because he didn't really show that behavior sometimes. But over the time, he was diagnosed, and we were able to learn that he was diagnosed with ADHD, dysgraphia. But most shockingly, we realized that he was twice exceptional. He was gifted in some areas, but he had challenges in others. So we kind of team up with parents and teachers, and we made the choice to lead with empathy, to see the whole child before actually rushing into interventions. We stopped asking him to be able to change in order to fit in the system, and then instead of we ask ourselves how we can change the system to be able to fit him. So we started to adjust expectations without lowering the standards. We built strength. We started to build from strength before we focus on areas of growth. And we didn't wait until assessments gave us information to validate what we already know. We actually knew that this child was already full of potential. And with that support that took us about 2 months, we started to see incredible changes. As soon as we changed the approach and we changed the language that we address this child, he immediately began to believe in himself. His self-growth grew incredibly, and he began to learn, not just because he was forced to learn, but because he was understood. So I feel that the message that I want to share with everyone today is as school leaders, we have the opportunity to set this stone for this kind of culture that we want to plant, if we want to see it that way. We are the ones that create the conditions where every student is known, where every teacher feels empowered to teach responsibly, and where inclusion should not just be a checkbox, but also a daily commitment to belonging. I believe that in a world today that often asks children to be able to fit in, to feel accepted, we must be the ones that say that you as a child already belong, not just because of who you want to be, but because of who you are. So I think that before we push for performance in our students, we should ask for wellness. Before we look for outcomes, we should look at the context. And before we move forward, we should look around and ask. So therefore, my pearl today is that when we lead with empathy and we validate each child's identity, we don't just help them to be successful, but we also help them to believe that they belong. So thank you. That was my little experience and message that I wanted to share with everyone today. And I hope that it does inspire a lot of you to be able to lead and to work every day, not just knowing that we have to reach goals or to be able to meet expectations, but we also have to lead with empathy, and that we have to care about what we do. So thank you.